So let's look at example 1. In example 1, we want to graph the equation of the parabola. Okay, so there's a couple steps that I have highlighted for you, and we're going to follow them pretty close, so it helps you kind of work through graphing some of these problems. So the first thing is, step 1 is we want to locate the equation that we're trying to graph. So that's y is equal to negative 4x squared. In this case, if you notice, x squared, the x variable, is the one that is squared. Okay? So right off the bat, we know x squared means my parabola is going to be opening around my x-axis. My x-axis, which is this guy, if it's opening around it, it's going to either be up or it's going to be down. Right off the bat, I know it's going to be up or down depending on what my p-value is. So the first thing I have to do is I have to write the equation in standard form. So standard form means I want to make sure that my variable that's squared is by itself. So in this case, x squared is not by itself. So I have to divide, I'll do that right here, both sides by negative 4. So I get y over negative 4 is equal to x squared. And if I rewrite this, on the left-hand side, x squared is on the left is equal, and if I pull out the 1 that's invisibly in front of it, I get a negative 1/4 y as my standard equation, and that's what I want. So because the variable x is squared, the axis of symmetry is the y-axis. Okay, so that part, it's not that important to know that, because if you can get your graph or your equation in standard form, we should be able to go from there and be able to graph it with not a problem. So step 2 is I'm going to take my my actual form. This is the actual form that I got, and I'm going to move down to step 2. Well, I know that my equation form, the one that I want to match, if I look up here to my equation form, I know my x is squared, not my y, but my x is squared. So I want to write this equation form in step 2. So step 2 equation form is x squared is equal to 4py. Okay, so that's my equation form. My actual form, the form that I got when I simplified and got x squared by itself, is this form. So I'm going to write what I got down. And I'm going to do something really quick. In order to know how to graph, I have to know my p-value. My p-value, remember, is the distance from my vertex to my focus. So I need to know what my p-value is. But at this point, I don't know what the p-value is. But my equation form and actual form match up very similarly. I've got my x squared on the left. I got my y's on the right. So the pieces in the middle, the 4p and the negative 1/4, I know have to be equal to each other. They're in the same spot. So to figure out what my p-value is, I know 4p has to be equal to negative 1/4. I'm trying to figure out what that value is. 4 times what gives me negative 1/4. So in this case, I'm going to divide both sides by 4 to get p alone. If you guys remember, negative 1/4 divided by 4 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So dividing by 4 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/4. So p is equal to negative 1/16. That's my p-value, negative 1/16.